So, have you ever wondered if it's genuinely possible to escape the crushing weight of everyday obligations, taxes, and societal pressures without needing to, spark some massive global revolution? Is it actually possible to just be free right now, even if the rest of the world stays exactly as it is?
Well, that brings us right to Harry Browne's core thesis. He states that freedom is simply the opportunity to live your life as you want to live it. And what's incredibly exciting about his approach is that achieving this doesn't require a miracle. It doesn't require you to somehow change the minds of everyone around you. It literally just requires a shift in your own choices and dismantling some invisible traps that you probably don't even realize you're caught in.
Okay, let's dive into this. In today's explainer, we're unpacking the foundational ideas from Browne's fascinating work, How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World. We're going to look at the exact mechanisms that keep us feeling stuck, and more importantly, how to systematically bypass them using the power you already have.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the illusion of freedom, then move into escaping identity traps, intellect versus emotion, morality and unselfishness, groups and governments, and finally, choosing direct alternatives. We are going to systematically dismantle those philosophical traps.
All right, Section 1, the illusion of freedom, and breaking out of that if-only mindset.
You know that trap where we just sit around waiting for society to change? People think, if only the government were different, or if only my boss would change, and they end up fighting these exhausting indirect battles. But to understand why we do this, we kind of have to look at what drives us in the first place. Browne defines happiness simply as the feeling of well-being, an involuntary emotional reaction to what happens to you. Basically, every single action we take is just an attempt to maximize that good feeling or minimize the bad ones. Even if you're making a tough decision, like dropping cash to fix a leaky roof, you're doing it to avoid the much bigger headache of a flooded house. Recognizing this constant pursuit of happiness is the absolute first step to taking back your personal control.
Moving right along to Section 2, escaping identity traps and the danger of unquestioned assumptions.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that to find happiness, you first have to truly know who you are. But we run into two massive internal roadblocks. First, believing you should be someone else. This is when you twist yourself into knots, trying to fit some societal label, like the perfect employee or the ideal parent, instead of just honoring your own unique nature. Second, assuming others will act exactly like you. I mean, you wouldn't expect a rock to swim like a fish, right? When you expect other people to share your exact logic or values, you are basically guaranteeing your own frustration. You don't control the identities of other people, but you absolutely control how you choose to deal with them.
Next up, Section 3, intellect versus emotion, and navigating your inner signals.
So both of these are totally vital to your freedom, but man, misusing them creates some profound traps. On one hand, we have the intellectual trap. This is where you censor your true feelings because of what you've decided you should feel. Think about staying in a miserable $70,000 a year job just because society says it makes you successful, even though you absolutely hate going to work every day. On the flip side is the emotional trap, making critical, long-term decisions based entirely on temporary feelings. This is like going out and buying an $8,000 piano on a total whim because you felt a sudden burst of inspiration, only to realize a week later you don't even want to learn how to play. To be truly free, you have to use your intellect to plan carefully, but allow your genuine emotions to guide what actually brings you joy.
Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds. Morality and unselfishness, redefining doing good.
Here, the text challenges us to really evaluate the moral codes we blindly live by. Ask yourself, did I devise this rule or did society hand it to me? Is it actually aimed at my self-interest or does it work against it? Does it point to specific happiness or just vague future rewards? Do I even know the actual reason for it? The argument here is that an absolute morality, which are those strict rules you follow regardless of the harm they cause you, can be a severe trap. Instead, the source presents a personal morality as far more effective. It's about considering all the real-world consequences of your actions, keeping you aimed firmly toward your own long-term goals.
And that leads us directly into what Browne calls the unselfishness trap. He deconstructs this huge societal norm using a pretty brilliant red rubber ball analogy. Imagine happiness is a red rubber ball. Step 1, I'm unselfish, so I pass my happiness to you. Step 2, you're unselfish, so you pass it to a neighbor. Step 3, they pass it to a child. Step 4, the ball gets passed around endlessly and no one ever actually stops to enjoy it. It's this crazy merry-go-round of futility where everyone is constantly sacrificing for everyone else. The takeaway? If you genuinely want to make the world better, start by being an efficient steward of your own happiness.
All right, shifting to external traps, Section 5, Groups and Governments, and the Illusion of Shared Strength.
Browne takes the stance that group efforts inevitably dilute our individual goals and always demand constant compromise. Just think about a typical partnership where you share efforts 50-50. The significance of your personal effort is immediately sliced in half. Whatever immense value you provide to the group, you're only receiving half the reward. And that drastically reduces your incentive to produce. When you join a massive crusade or movement, your individual effort might only add 1% to the outcome. Whether you hustle all day or stay home in bed, the end result is practically identical. Group endeavors naturally separate our individual achievements from the rewards we get.
So how does this play out on a macro scale? The source text contrasts the free market with the government by breaking down two basic types of transactions. First, you have a two-sided transaction. This is where both parties participate totally voluntarily. It's a mutually beneficial exchange. I buy a car because I want the car more than my money, and the seller wants my money more than the car. Win-win. But a one-sided transaction is where one party forces the other to choose, usually using the threat of a penalty or violence. According to the text, governments operate via these one-sided transactions. People often turn to the government to force a group to cooperate, which, the argument goes, overrules the voluntary choices we make as individuals.
Which brings us to the climax of this explainer, Section 6, Choosing Direct Alternatives and Taking Back Your Control.
So the crucial point is, how do we actually pull this off without starting a revolution? It all comes down to this core distinction. On one side, we have indirect alternatives. These require you to change the minds and attitudes of other people to succeed. Trying to vote away high taxes or trying to fix an incompatible partner are perfect examples. It is absolutely exhausting, and let's be honest, it rarely works. On the other side, we have direct alternatives. These require only your own decision and direct action. Instead of protesting taxes, a direct alternative is structuring your finances and lifestyle to legally minimize them. Instead of trying to fix a bad club or group, a direct alternative is simply quitting and finding a better one. True freedom comes from abandoning those frustrating indirect alternatives and exclusively choosing direct ones. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. Will you keep banging your head against the wall trying to change the whole world, hoping everyone else will finally see things your way? Or will you choose to be free today by looking inward, bypassing those traps and focusing only on the direct, positive choices within your own control? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep exploring those direct alternatives.